Wow. That's different. I really like that. Peychauds or Peychauds or Peychaud.
Yeah, now I'm gorgeous. Although probably fuzzier was better.
Okay. So this is not what I expected. Hey, how's it going? It's a Wednesday and not a Thursday, and I made sure to post and remind everybody that we're doing Wednesday this week and probably for the next few weeks until about the middle of September, unless it turns out that this is better than Thursdays. We'll see. But I wanted to free up my Thursdays. I got some things coming up on Thursdays that's just going to make doing the Bourbcast difficult. So I thought, you know what? Let's just ease into this, do it a day earlier, and get my P's and Q's all together, and it worked out pretty good. And we have Roger watching. Hey, Roger, how are you? I'm glad you're here with us. We're going to be trying something different, like we always do. I think this is like Bourbcast 109, something like that. 109, I think. Wow, it's good. Started off the evening pretty good. It's really nice outside, so I decided to grill, and I grilled my world famous, well, should be world famous meatloaf burgers. Really, really good. And they got the seal of approval from the kid. So the kid said, yay! So I said, all right, I'm doing something right. Okay, tonight we're going to get into it. I want to say that I should have opened this and let it sit overnight. I didn't do it, however. Everybody's telling me that this is really, really young. And letting it sit and get some of the ethanol out of it might not have been the worst idea. And I thought about it, but then I'd be breaking precedent. I'd be saying that, oh my, okay. I'd be saying that, you know, I want to do something different, and I don't want to do it different. I want to do the neck poured like I do every other bottle, and then give it a chance to sit. There was one that I tried recently that I let sit, and I liked it more. I'd have to go back through the echelon and tell you which one it is. I don't remember which one it was. I had it the other day, and I was like, hey, that's not as bad as I thought. Gosh, what was that? It was a high rye. It might have been Detroit City. I don't know. But, you know, this one is Leadslingers. Every bourbon has a story. Last week, we talked about George Remus. And truth be told, the guy was kind of an asshole. But he has a great story, a great legacy. And, you know, pop culture wouldn't be the same without him. And the story of bootleggers and prohibition wouldn't be the same without him. But he was a jackass. So, and, you know, God rest your soul. Well, this one, there's a story behind it, too. And it's a story that you can kind of get behind. You kind of go back and you do your research and you wonder, really? Is this really the case? So we'll tell you about it. And it comes by him honestly. The head distiller is Garrett Jenko. He comes by his love of spirits honestly. Let's go ahead and pour this. We have a Glencairn because this is only 80 proof. And I'm going to want to concentrate those scents, those aromas, up towards the top. So today we're doing the Glencairn. Hey, Jordan. Hey, how are you? Ahoy, boy. Ahoy. Thanks for watching. You had said that you were excited about this one, Jordan, so I'm excited to try it too. I did some research on it, though, and the research makes it a little less exciting, but let's get into it. Garrett Jenko was the guy who started this whole thing. His grandparents were from the Czech Republic and had a distillery, and they made absinthe. Now, absinthe is different than bourbon a lot. Where bourbon is aged in white oak barrels, absinthe is aged in wormwood. That's one of the reasons why absinthe for the longest time was illegal to buy in the United States, because wormwood, it's said, can create hallucinations and other mental defects. So they decided not to let that happen. Well, now absinthe is here, but at much, much lower strengths. And I don't know if it's aged in wormwood, if it's sold in the U.S. I don't know. I'd have to go back and look. Okay, so Leadslingers Whiskey is a product of Scissortail Distillery in Oklahoma, founded in 2013 by Garrett Jenko. Leadslingers itself was originally a partnership with Article 15 Clothing, which was owned by some of the guys who owned the Black Rifle Coffee Company it might still be a thing and it might not. I went online looking for them, and I found a Facebook page that hadn't been updated in over a year, like March 2021. Then I found another Facebook page that was even older than that. Then I found a website that didn't work. I found another website that wasn't updated. And then I found another one that, well, no, the one that wasn't updated was, it was functional to an extent, but there wasn't any graphics on it. There wasn't anything other than the thing. So the Instagram had 3 posts on it. I did find another janky ass free Wix website and another Facebook page that was last updated in January. So I don't know if they're, hey Norm, hey, how's it going, man? And Jeff Tishner's watching, and Larry. Hi, everybody. Gosh, I'm glad you're here. You have to let me know if Wednesday's better for you than Thursdays, because if it is, we'll stick with it. Otherwise, we'll go back to Thursdays, probably about the middle of September, maybe the 15th, something like that. I just got stuff going on Thursdays for the next few weeks. So, I don't know if that corroboration is still happening with that clothing company. They may not align themselves with a coffee company anymore either. Jared Taylor owns the Black Rifle Coffee Company, and they kind of went woke. And some people that are veterans, like the people who own this bottle, aren't into the whole woke thing. So I don't know if that partnership has continued or not. I couldn't find any evidence of a feud or anything like that online where they're not talking to each other, and I didn't see anything where the 7 people that have come together to make Leadslingers have fallen apart. I guess I saw some interviews and everything and read them, and it doesn't say anything. So it's something worth looking into a little more deeply. They are an Oklahoma brand. At the time, they were the 2nd distillery in Oklahoma. They bought out the first distillery that made vodka primarily. And now they're, I think, the only bourbon making distillery in the state of Oklahoma right now. That doesn't mean it's going to stay that way, but right now, and they make some other things too. They make a rye and they make a vodka, and I think maybe a gin. I don't remember. But, it's just like every other distillery. They want to hedge their bets and make as many different spirits with their distillate as they can. Don't blame them. Okay. So, Janko was simply giddy when Leadslingers was one of the brands selected to be served during President Trump's inauguration ball. Check this out. Let me go to it. This is the bottle. The 750 milliliter bottle of bourbon is stamped with a Leadslingers logo, a bald eagle grasping a rifle in its talons, and a partial American flag in the background. Surrounding it, however, 2 lines of stars, the phrase "Make America Great," and the presidential and vice presidential inauguration seal. Smaller type near the top of the bottle signifies the bourbon is a limited edition president's bottle. There you go. So that's at least one of them that got to be served at the inaugural ball. Now, it's funny, the interview that Garrett gave said maybe President Trump will drink it. Well, anybody who knows anything about President Trump knows that he doesn't drink, and probably never has. Never done a drug. I can respect that. I, on the other hand, drink. So I will tell him what I think of this that was served at his ball that he didn't have. All right. Nitty gritty is the distillery is Scissortail Distillery. Location is Moore, Oklahoma. Let's see. Randy's watching. Hey, Randy, how are you? We got to get together soon, Randy. Something came in the mail for me. Just saying. This is only 80 proof, which is another reason why I did the Glencairn. Really light in color, too. Let's see. Price is generally around $25, sometimes less, sometimes more. It's a light bourbon flavor from a single barrel aging process. Now, this is the part that kind of gets me a little bit. The single barrel aging process is a bit of a misnomer, and I've got a sneeze coming, and I hate that. The mash bill, come on, get out of there. Get out of my nose. So, mostly corn, and the reason that it's mostly corn is because corn can mature faster. You may not be as excited about this brand after I tell you about the aging process. Mostly corn, barley, and smoked peat rye. Now, peat is a substance that when you smoke it, it tends to add a smoky flavor to the bourbon. And a lot of times this is done in scotch. Peated scotches are Scotch, right? Now you can get some scotches that aren't peated. Don't get me wrong, but I tend to like the ones that have more of a smokier profile. I like the ones that are slightly peated. This says peated rye. So, we'll give that a shot. About 90% of the ingredients come from Shawnee Milling Company and are grown in Oklahoma. It's only aged 8 months in both new and used American oak barrels. From what I gathered, about 6 of those months are in the new barrels, and about 2 of those months are in the old barrels. So this is a very, very young whiskey. But it can be a bourbon as long as it has an age statement. And I don't think I found one on there. But I do like the fact that it's not sourced from anywhere. It's sourced from their distillery. So they moved from a combination of 30-gallon and standard 53-gallon barrels to smaller 5-gallon barrels, which they say helps the bourbon age a lot faster. So Leadslingers is aged in new 5-gallon barrels for 3 months. I had it wrong. I'm sorry. 3 months before being transferred to 15-gallon barrels and aged for an additional 5 months. So I had it backwards. Okay. Leadslingers is a somewhat high corn whiskey, lends itself to quicker aging, and smoked peat rye is included in the mash bill. The one thing that is attractive to me is that Leadslinger's name is devoted to the Second Amendment and all Americans who exercise it, like those who stood at Lexington and Concord as the British tried to seize their arms and said no. That's from their website. Again, it's made up of veterans. These are combat veterans. They are to be honored. They come from every line of the military that you could think of. There is... no, I'm thinking of something else. Never mind. So combat veterans came together along with other combat veterans from another company to put this together, and here it is. Some people said they like letting it sit for 20 minutes before they tasted it. I think we've waited long enough. You've listened to me blow V8 long enough, so let's go ahead and start giving it the American try. All right. I am dubious about an 8-month bourbon. But I've had a decent rye that was only like a 6-month rye. So, what do I know? All right. I'm glad I got the Glencairn glass. The nose is a bit on the timid side. But it's there, and I'm getting mostly rye notes. There's something sweet in there. There's a little bit of a citrus scent. Reminds me of apple pie, to be truthful. It's got a kind of the rye notes are giving it like a toasted crust to it. The citrus is giving it maybe an apple type of overtone. There's something else in there too, maybe a lemon zest. Some of the typical notes I'm not really getting. There's maybe a little bit of pepper, a little bit of cinnamon, but I'm not catching any vanilla, I'm not catching any honey. And I'm looking for them. I think I've given you a pretty good assessment. All right. Down the hatch. Okay. When you do the whiskey chew and you get it around your mouth, there's no bloom. There's nothing. But when you stop chewing and you let it sit there, then you start to feel a little bit of a bloom. The first impression, the second it hit the tip of my tongue, it was unpleasant. However, Once it got past the tip of my tongue and went back into my palate, things changed. And there is a flavor on this I haven't identified yet, but it's pleasant. And I wonder what would happen if they'd let this thing sit, but at the same time, I wonder what would happen if they'd let this thing sit. Because as it is, as 80 proof, the flavor on this is surprisingly palatable. And I've read some reviews, and some of the people, and I don't remember their notes, but I remember them saying that the ethanol was pretty strong on it because it was so young. It is young. It is definitely young. It's not complex in any way, shape, or form. But I'm not getting that high ethanol that a lot of people said. Jordan says, I put an oak spiral in mine when I buy it, and I leave it sit for a month or so. I know it sounds weird, but it works. I've had other people do that, and I'll be honest with you, Jordan, I find myself turned off by the prospect. That quick aging, quick oaking things of a spirit, if you have to do that, then the spirit sucks. You shouldn't have to do that to your bourbon. There are so many other bourbons that you can buy that are on the shelf that are already ready that you don't have to add those things to. And quite frankly also, and I'll be honest, I'm going to be brutally honest about this, and there's nothing that you're doing wrong. Drink it how you like it. But the truth of the matter is, I bought some Oak and Eden Bourbon Inspire. That's one of these, like you're talking about. It's very quickly aged. They have a gimmick attached to it. They stick that spire down in there, and they say it's bottle aged. Bullshit. That's no, sir. I'm sorry, but the gimmicks just really annoy me. And you can't age a bourbon faster than a bourbon ages. You just can't. And at least these guys are honest about it, where they say, look, we age it for 8 months, and that's it. Now they found a way to do it, and they're not necessarily cheating by putting spires down in their bottle or any crap like that. I drank that Oak and Eden, and I ended up with a piece of wood on my tongue. It didn't hurt me or anything like that. It was just a piece of wood. It wasn't small. Came off that spire. Very unappetizing. Didn't like it. I won't buy another Oak and Eden, period. This one, on the other hand, sorry about the rant. I didn't mean to rant, but I find myself really turned off by certain brands. And Oak and Eden was one of them, and I don't like the gimmicks. And there's all these people out there now starting up new whiskey companies and trying to find new ways to chemically and faster age. And even this company is like that. What's the distillery again? Scissor Tail, whatever that means. Scissor Tail is looking into ways that they can do faster aging of bourbon. Don't do that. Sell what you got. Make your money off of what you got, because actually this isn't too bad. Sell what you got, make your money, and then put some barrels back and age them properly. Invest. If you want your customers to invest in you, you invest in them. Invest in your product. Take the time. Have faith. If you have a good product, have faith in it. All right, rant over. Okay. Let's go back to this, because there was a flavor on it that I liked it. It was pleasant, but I don't know what it was. So let's go back to it. It comes between the palate and the finish. You don't get the flavor until you've already put it down the gullet. The mouthfeel on this is silky. Something about it is just different. The mouthfeel on this is just different. I like a silky mouthfeel. I like that silkiness, but I like it to almost be buttery. And this, I'm not getting the same thing. I don't know how that happens, and I don't know how that they can't be synonymous. But in this case, this isn't buttery, but it is silky. And I think that's what was off-putting about the mouthfeel. On the front of my tongue, it was fine. Get it back a little bit, on the front of my tongue, it was off-putting. On the back, as you get it back into the palate, that's where it's fine, and you can appreciate the silkiness of it. But on the front, it's just kind of, not pleasant. That flavor, though, I'll try again. I didn't write down any flavor notes. I wanted to do it myself. And maybe I should have written down some flavor notes. I think what I'm getting on the palate itself, and what I'm getting a little bit in the legs, is that peated rye. And I wanted to discount that at first. I didn't think that's what it was. But the more I taste this, the more I think it's the peated rye that I'm getting. And maybe that's why I like it a little bit. Because I like peated bourbons, or I like peated drinks, scotch, bourbons, ryes. And I think that's the flavor that I'm getting out of this is the peated rye. Gosh. I'm catching maybe some clove and some nutmeg. I'm going to go with another neat one here. Normally I'd go ahead and add water to it at this point, but this has got me rather intrigued. And it's only 80 proof, so it's not like it's going to knock me on my butt. It's the peated rye. But on the sides, there's a hint of toffee and there's a citrus there, and I'm very hesitant to call it orange peel. But it's right here on the sides of the tongue. Nowhere else. It's so funny how bourbon can express itself and where on the palate. You know, your tongue is capable of so many different things. Salty, sweet, sour, and there's a fourth one. Salty, sweet, bitter. And now they've also identified a fifth one, which can be translated as deliciousness. The Japanese came up with that one. They say that that's where mushrooms live. They're not salty, they're not sweet, they're not sour, they're not bitter, they're delicious. So they kind of came up with that one, but I can't discount it. I mean, who am I to say that the Japanese don't know what deliciousness is? Bourbon is deliciousness. Savory. Savory. Yeah. Is that a sense on the tongue, savory, or is it bitter? Google it for me. I don't know. I don't know if that's a sense or if that's a expression. I don't know. I don't know, Trent. You'll have to tell me. I thought it was sweet, salty, sour, and bitter. But maybe you're right. Maybe savory is one of them. And then I want to say that, was it unagi? Was how they translated mushrooms into deliciousness? Or umami or unagi or something like, I don't know. Let me try this one more time. Mac is watching. Hey, Mac. We're doing Leadslingers. It's aged only 8 months, and it's actually surprisingly not bad. It's not perfect. It's young. The mouth feels a little strange in certain ways, but it isn't bad. I can drink this bottle and not hate it. But we haven't tried it on water yet. I'm going to do one more neat, and then I'm going to pour a little bit more in. And bitter. Okay, it is bitter. All right, thank you. Thank you for looking that up. All right. So, one more. It's got a sweetness that the corn is giving it. And that may be something that I'm tasting as well. With the mixture of that peated rye, it is a very high corn mash bill. And if you don't like corn whiskeys, you may not like Leadslingers at all. And that may be contributing to the mouthfeel as well. Whereas a higher rye tends to have more of a different mouthfeel, less silky. At least those are the experiences that I've had. They tend to be more slap your mother in the face type of mash bills. But this is definitely silky. Again, higher corn, and that sweetness, that corn is maybe what I'm catching as well. But I'm definitely catching some of that peated rye, and there's a little citrus on the side. That toffee's there, and some of the baking spices like clove and nutmeg. All right. There we go. I had enough water. Didn't think I did. So I had to turn this on its side here. All right. So add a little water to it, see what that does to it. I did get out an ice. No, I didn't. I left it in the freezer. And that may be just fine. I may not even want to put it on ice because if it disappears on water, it's going to just fly away on ice. So, all right. I want to say it's just about the same nose. The nose is sweeter with a little water on it. Definitely sweeter. That corn sweetness is coming out on water. All right. Joseph's watching. Hey, Joe. Leadslingers. If you like an 80 proof whiskey and you like a high corn whiskey, this one might be for you. No. Water killed it. Some of the notes are there, but no. It didn't take much either. I'd only put in about not even a milliliter because I'm running low on my water thingy. But no, I don't like the mouthfeel of it. I don't like the flavor of it. On water, just killed it. Just shot it in the face. So, Aaron's with us. He says this is one of his favorites. He likes the lower proofs a lot of times. We found a lot of them in the lower proofs that Aaron really digs, and this one is, for what it is. Yes, easy to drink. And that's what they say on their website, too. They say that Leadslingers is an easy one to drink. And again, this is the same thing that they tell you, a tin cup, and some of those other 80 proofers, is that they made a whiskey that's easy to drink. And it is. It's easy to drink. It's got a nice flavor to it. It's only aged 8 months, but that may not have hurt it any because of the way they do it. They don't do it in a big 53-gallon drum. They do it in a 5-gallon barrel. And then that's for 3 months, and then 5 months in a 15-gallon barrel. So this is one of those strange, weird gimmicks that I don't hate as much because the juice is, I think, if you look at it a certain way, worth the squeeze. It's not a hard-to-drink bourbon, and it's cheap. Yeah, it's only $23-25. So I agree with you, Aaron. This is one that I can drink. I've got a couple bottles of this. And, it's not one that it's going to be a go-to. I like probably between 90 and 100 proof for my go-tos. But when I'm looking for something easy to drink, and I want to be able to drink frequently without ending up sloshing my way to the bathroom, then this would be one that I could put in my repertoire. I just will remember to drink it neat and to not ice it down and to not put water on it because water did not help it any. All right. My phone is saying that my live feed has been interrupted, which tells me something's not going right, but my signal on my software says everything is fine. So I do not know what's going on with that, but we're going to go ahead and get wrapped up just in case. I want to give you an idea of what we're doing next Wednesday. Again, we're coming back next Wednesday. We'll probably be on Wednesdays until the middle of September. Unless this worked out better for everybody, we'll do a poll towards the end of this in September. I would call it a go-to, but it's something... I would not call it a go-to, but it's something you can get cheap, and it's honestly not bad neat. No, it isn't. It isn't. I could drink this. It's, again, higher corn, peated rye, a little bit of barley, malted barley. Really not bad. They've got a decent product here for what's gone into it, and they started off at nothing. They started off in a garage, So I'd like to think they've built it up a little bit bigger since then after buying another distillery. But this is something, if I ever went to Oklahoma, I might like to see if I could get a tour and get the skinny on what's going on with this brand, because it's not bad. It's not bad. All right, next week. Knock, knock, knocking on heaven's door. That's right, we're going to go to Heaven's Door. I believe this is a company that is co-owned or founded in some way, or at least endorsed by Bob Dylan, the singer, the songwriter, the folk singer, Bob Dylan. This is the double barrel whiskey. So I, believe it or not, after all this time, I've still never had a Heaven's Door. I've never tried it. I've heard ups and downs. Some people love it, some people hate it. I'm going to give you what I think of it next week right here on Beautiful Bourbon. Next Wednesday at 7:30, we'll try Heaven's Door Double Barrel Whiskey. All right? So that's next week. The Leadslingers, it's decent. It's good. It's easy sipping. It could be a nice one to take to a party where you want to be able to have a little bit over a long day and not, get wasted all at once. Take your time. Maybe when you're off doing something else. Maybe, a picnic or something like that. Or a family reunion. When you have to maintain yourself because grandma's there, but you don't necessarily have to maintain yourself all the way because your weird uncle's there too. All right, gang. Well, again, thank you very much for hanging out with me. This is Leadslingers. Next week, Heaven's Door, the double barrel whiskey, and we will see you again on Wednesday. Have a great week.